Ferrari may have found a way to hurt Mercedes at the two circuits where one mistake can destroy an entire weekend. Zandvoort demands precision, confidence, and track position. Monza rewards straight-line speed, braking stability, and ruthless efficiency. Two completely different challenges, one supposedly secret Ferrari plan, and a potential opportunity to turn the pressure back on Mercedes. But there is one major problem. The attached source does not reveal that plan. It provides no Zandvoort strategy, no Monza setup, no technical data, and no proof that Ferrari has discovered a weapon capable of defeating Mercedes. So either a crucial part of the story is still hidden, or one dramatic claim has moved far ahead of the evidence. Because if Ferrari really has found a solution that works at both circuits, it would need to do something extremely rare. Create grip and confidence through Zandvoort's narrow corners, then deliver low drag and brutal speed at Monza. And the detail that could connect those two opposite demands may be the real secret. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why this supposed plan sounds so dangerous for Mercedes, you first have to understand what Ferrari would need to solve. Zandvoort and Monza are almost complete opposites. Zandvoort is narrow, technical, and unforgiving. The corners arrive quickly, the banking changes the way the car loads its tires, and overtaking can be difficult. A team needs confidence, grip, and a strong qualifying position before the race even begins. Monza asks for something different. The car must cut through the air with as little resistance as possible. The driver needs stability under heavy braking. Straight-line speed becomes critical, and every weakness in acceleration can be exposed before the next chicane. One circuit rewards control. The other rewards efficiency. So a single plan capable of hurting Mercedes at both races would need to be far more sophisticated than one setup change. It would have to give Ferrari flexibility. And that may be the most important word in this entire story. Flexibility. The fastest car is not always the one with the most downforce, the strongest engine, or the highest top speed. Sometimes, the real advantage belongs to the team that can adapt without losing its basic strengths. Think of a pair of shoes. One pair is perfect for running on a smooth road. Another is designed for climbing over rough ground. A team that can only perform in one condition may look powerful until the environment changes. A team that can adjust quickly becomes dangerous everywhere. That is what Ferrari would need to challenge Mercedes across Zandvoort and Monza. But here is the first major warning. The attached source does not describe any secret plan. It does not explain a technical concept. It does not provide setup information. It does not include data from Zandvoort or Monza. And it does not confirm that Ferrari has discovered a method capable of defeating Mercedes. So the central claim remains unsupported by the available material. That does not make the strategic question meaningless. It makes the missing details more important. Because Ferrari's challenge is real, even if the secret plan has not been revealed. At Zandvoort, the team would need a car that changes direction quickly without becoming nervous. The front of the car must respond when the driver turns. The rear must remain stable as the load shifts through the banking. The tires must reach the correct temperature without overheating. And the driver must trust the car enough to attack a narrow circuit where one small mistake can ruin the lap. That trust is essential. A driver who doubts the rear of the car will hesitate. The hesitation may last only a fraction of a second. But it can appear again at the next corner. Then again at the next. By the end of the lap, several tiny moments of caution can become a major loss. That is why qualifying matters so much at Zandvoort. Starting near the front can protect the entire race. Starting further back can trap a faster car behind slower traffic. And once that happens, strategy becomes much harder. Ferrari could have strong race pace and still struggle to use it. Mercedes could defend track position even with a less comfortable car. That means Ferrari's first weapon at Zandvoort would not necessarily be race speed. It would be one clean qualifying lap. But Monza turns that idea upside down. At Monza, too much aerodynamic grip can become a problem. More downforce helps the car through corners, but it also creates drag. Drag is the resistance that slows the car as it moves through the air. Imagine running while holding a large umbrella in front of you. The umbrella creates resistance. You have to work harder just to maintain the same speed. A Formula 1 car faces a similar problem. Large wings can create grip. But on Monza's long straights, those wings can also make the car vulnerable. So Ferrari would need to remove drag without making the car unstable under braking. That is the real Monza challenge. Not simply going fast. Stopping from high speed, changing direction, and accelerating away without losing control. Mercedes would understand that challenge perfectly. A strong rival does not need to dominate every part of the circuit. It only needs to protect the areas where it can be attacked. If Mercedes has better braking stability, Ferrari may need to find time on the straights. If Mercedes accelerates more strongly, Ferrari may need to carry more speed through the chicanes. If Mercedes protects its tires more effectively, Ferrari may need to create track position before strategy becomes important. Every strength creates a response. Every weakness creates an opportunity. That is why the idea of one secret plan is so persuasive. It suggests Ferrari has found one answer that connects all these separate problems. But Formula One rarely works that way. Teams normally build advantages from several smaller improvements. A slightly cleaner airflow path, a more stable rear end, a better tire preparation method, a stronger braking platform, a more efficient energy strategy. Each gain may look minor. Together, they can transform a weekend. That is the first real possibility behind the dramatic claim. Ferrari may not need one revolutionary device. It may need several ordinary systems to work together at exactly the right moment. And Lewis Hamilton could become central to that process. Not because the source proves he brought a secret from Mercedes. It does not. But because his experience could help Ferrari understand how a car needs to feel at two very different circuits. Hamilton knows what confidence under braking feels like. He knows how important tire preparation becomes during qualifying. He understands the difference between a car that is fast in theory and a car a driver can actually trust. That knowledge can influence setup direction. It can help engineers identify where the car is losing time. It can help Ferrari decide whether to chase more grip, more stability, or more efficiency. But experience alone does not guarantee an advantage. The car still has to respond. And this is where Ferrari's problem becomes more complicated. An adjustment that helps at Zandvoort may hurt at Monza. More downforce can create cornering confidence in the Netherlands. The same decision can reduce straight-line speed in Italy. A suspension setting that helps the car move through banking may not provide the same braking stability on Monza's heavy stops. A tire preparation method that works in one temperature range may fail in another. That means Ferrari cannot simply carry one setup from one circuit to the next. It needs a philosophy, a repeatable way of identifying what the car needs. And that philosophy could be more valuable than any single upgrade. Think of a person solving two different puzzles. The pieces are not the same. The pictures are not the same. But the method remains useful. Study the edges. Identify the patterns. Build from the strongest clues. Ferrari would need to approach Zandvoort and Monza in the same way. Not by forcing one solution onto both circuits. By using the same understanding to create two different answers. That is the hidden meaning behind flexibility. A team does not become dangerous because it has one perfect car. It becomes dangerous because it knows how to turn the same car into different versions of itself. At Zandvoort, Ferrari would need confidence. At Monza, it would need efficiency. At both circuits, it would need precision. And that may be where Mercedes becomes vulnerable. A team with a strong baseline can still struggle when conditions move away from its preferred window. A change in temperature can affect the tires. A change in wind can disturb balance. A setup decision can make the car fast in qualifying but difficult during the race. No team is protected from compromise. Ferrari's opportunity would come from identifying the compromise Mercedes cannot avoid. That is how one rival defeats another. Not by becoming perfect, by forcing the opponent into an uncomfortable choice. Imagine Mercedes choosing more downforce for Zandvoort. That may improve cornering grip, but it could create a speed disadvantage on the straights. Ferrari may then focus on acceleration and track position. At Monza, Mercedes might reduce drag aggressively. That could create straight-line speed, but it may also make the car more difficult under braking. Ferrari could then search for stability and attack the braking zones. These are only strategic possibilities, not confirmed details from the source. But they show why the real battle would be more complex than one secret weapon. Ferrari would be searching for pressure points, the exact areas where Mercedes has to give something away. And once those pressure points are found, Hamilton's experience could become valuable again. He understands how Mercedes approaches a weekend. He may recognize the kind of balance its drivers usually prefer. He may understand where the car tends to feel strongest. But that does not mean he knows every current technical detail. Mercedes continues developing. Ferrari continues developing. The cars change. The regulations evolve. Past experience can offer clues. It cannot provide a complete answer. That is another reason the word secret must be treated carefully. A secret plan sounds like hidden information. In reality, the advantage may come from preparation. Ferrari may study weather patterns. It may prepare several aerodynamic configurations. It may use practice sessions to compare tire behavior. It may change how the drivers build temperature before a qualifying lap. None of that would look dramatic. But Formula One is often decided by preparation that appears ordinary until the result arrives. The car leaves the garage. The tires enter the correct window. The driver finds confidence. The lap comes together. And suddenly, the team looks transformed. People then search for one explanation. One upgrade. One device. One secret. But the real answer may be the accumulation of dozens of small decisions. That is why Ferrari's first goal would be clarity. The engineers need to understand what the car is telling them. They need to know whether a loss comes from tires, balance, aerodynamics, or driver confidence. If the signals are unclear, the team can spend an entire weekend solving the wrong problem. At Zandvoort, that mistake can destroy qualifying. At Monza, it can leave the car trapped between too much drag and too little stability. The window for correction becomes small. Practice time disappears quickly. Pressure builds. And every decision begins affecting the next one. This is where Mercedes could gain control. A team that understands its car early can focus on performance. A team still searching for balance spends valuable time reacting. Ferrari's supposed plan would therefore need to work before qualifying. It would need to guide setup choices from the beginning of the weekend. It would need to help the team recognize which compromises are acceptable. And it would need to prevent one small weakness from controlling the entire car. That sounds less dramatic than a secret weapon. But it may be far more powerful, because a hidden device can be copied. A strong development process is much harder to reproduce. And this is the central question Ferrari must answer. Has the team discovered one technical trick? Or has it finally discovered how to make better decisions under pressure? The source does not tell us. It does not provide the plan. It does not explain the data. It does not confirm the Mercedes comparison. But the two circuits create the perfect test. Zandvoort will expose whether Ferrari can create confidence and track position. Monza will expose whether Ferrari can create efficiency and braking stability. If the team performs strongly at both, the result will suggest something deeper than one circuit-specific improvement. It will suggest Ferrari has learned how to control its compromises. And that is the kind of advantage that could genuinely threaten Mercedes. Not because it destroys one rival in one race, because it gives Ferrari a method that can survive when the challenge completely changes.